Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts! Welcome back to another deep dive here at Soilsage Chronicles. Today, I'm incredibly excited to share something that's close to my heart, the 3 vegetables that have never let me down, no matter what Mother Nature throws my way. Whether you're just getting your hands dirty for the first time or you're a seasoned gardener looking for reliable performers, these 3 champions will transform your garden into a productive paradise. I still remember my first gardening disaster, rows of wilted tomatoes and stubborn carrots that never seemed to grow. It was discouraging, to say the least. But then I discovered these 3 game changers that taught me the joy of successful gardening. They're forgiving, fast-growing, and incredibly rewarding. Let's dig in. If there's one vegetable that can turn anyone into a gardening believer, it's the humble radish. These little red rockets are absolutely perfect for building confidence because they deliver results faster than you can say, harvest time. I call them my garden's cheerleaders. They're always there to lift your spirits when other crops are taking their sweet time. Radishes are incredibly forgiving and practically foolproof. They germinate quickly, usually within 3 to 7 days, which means you'll see those first green shoots popping up almost immediately. This instant gratification is exactly what new gardeners need to stay motivated. Even if you think you have a black thumb, radishes will prove you wrong. The beauty of radishes lies in their simplicity. They don't require rich, heavily fertilized soil like some of their more demanding vegetable cousins. In fact, they actually prefer slightly sandy, well-draining soil that many gardeners already have. They're also fantastic companion plants, helping to break up clay soil and acting as natural pest deterrents for other vegetables. Start by choosing your varieties wisely. Cherry bell radishes are my go-to recommendation for beginners. They're round, crisp, and ready in just 22 to 30 days. For something different, try French breakfast radishes with their distinctive oblong shape and mild flavor. Sow your seeds directly in the garden about 2 to 4 weeks before your last frost date. Plant them about ½ inch deep and space them roughly an inch apart. Here's a pro tip that changed my radish game. Instead of trying to space tiny seeds perfectly, I scatter them and thin them later. It's much easier and, honestly, a lot less frustrating. Keep the soil consistently moist but not waterlogged. Radishes hate to dry out completely as this makes them woody and bitter. I water mine every other day during dry spells, giving them a gentle shower rather than a heavy soaking. The magic happens around day 20 when you start seeing those telltale bulges at soil level. Begin checking them by gently brushing away soil from the largest ones. When they're about the size of a marble to a golf ball, depending on your variety, they're ready to harvest. Here's something, most gardening guides won't tell you. Radishes are excellent succession crops. I plant a new row every 2 weeks from early spring through fall, and that gives me a continuous harvest. They also make fantastic use of those empty spaces between slower growing crops like tomatoes or peppers. Oh, and don't forget about the greens. Young radish leaves are peppery and delicious in salads, while mature leaves can be sautéed just like any other leafy green. So, you're essentially getting 2 vegetables for the price of 1. Lettuce holds a special place in my heart because, honestly, it taught me about the magic of succession planting and how to keep my family in fresh salads all season long. Unlike the grocery store varieties that sit in plastic containers for who knows how long, homegrown lettuce is crisp, flavorful, and can be harvested continuously for months. The world of lettuce is, well, far more diverse than most people realize. Leaf lettuces like black-seeded Simpson or red sails are incredibly beginner-friendly, since you can harvest individual leaves without killing the plant. Butterhead varieties like Boston or Bibb offer that melt-in-your-mouth texture that's just impossible to find in stores, and for those wanting a bit more challenge, romaine varieties provide that satisfying crunch that's perfect for Caesar salads. I always recommend starting with leaf lettuce because it's the most forgiving and provides the quickest results. You can begin harvesting baby leaves in as little as 21 days, and with proper care, a single plant can provide harvests for 6 to 8 weeks. Lettuce seeds are tiny, so don't bury them too deep. 1/4 inch is plenty. They need light to germinate, so barely covering them with fine soil or compost works best. I found that starting seeds indoors 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost gives me a significant head start on the season. Temperature is crucial for lettuce success. These cool season crops thrive in temperatures between 45 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Once temperatures consistently hit the 80s, most varieties will bolt or go to seed and become bitter. This is why timing and variety selection matter so much. For continuous harvests, practice what I call the cut and come again method. When plants reach about 4 to 6 inches tall, cut the outer leaves about an inch above the crown. The center will continue producing new leaves, giving you weeks of fresh salads from a single planting. Here's a game-changing technique. Interplant lettuce with taller crops like tomatoes or peppers. The lettuce really benefits from the afternoon shade provided by the taller plants, and that can extend your harvest well into the summer months. I've actually grown lettuce all the way through July using this method, even in my Zone 6 garden. Another tip is to consider succession planting every 10 to 14 days for a continuous harvest. I usually plant 3 small rows at a time, which gives just enough for my family without overwhelming us with more lettuce than we can eat. Green beans, especially bush varieties, are honestly the workhorses of the vegetable garden. They've never failed to amaze me with their productivity. A single packet of seeds can provide enough beans for fresh eating, canning, and even sharing with neighbors. Plus, they're nitrogen fixers, which means they actually improve your soil while they grow. Bush beans are just incredibly space efficient and don't require any support structures, making them perfect for beginners or anyone with limited space. They mature quickly, usually ready for harvest in about 50 to 55 days, and produce heavily for 3 to 4 weeks. Unlike pole beans that need trellises and a bit more complex care, bush beans are practically maintenance-free once they're established. The reliability of green beans is unmatched. They tolerate a wide range of soil conditions, though they really do prefer well-draining soil with a pH between 6.0 and 7.0. They're also relatively pest-resistant compared to other common vegetables, making them ideal for organic gardeners or, anyone who likes a more hands-off approach. Wait for soil temperatures to reach at least 60 degrees Fahrenheit before planting. Cold soil is honestly the #1 cause of bean failure. I learned this lesson the hard way after losing an entire early planting to cold, wet conditions. The seed simply rotted instead of germinating. Plant beans about 1 to 2 inches deep and 4 to 6 inches apart in rows, spaced 18 to 24 inches apart. Personally, I prefer planting in blocks rather than single rows, since this gives better wind protection and makes harvesting easier. The key is giving them enough space for air circulation while still maximizing your harvest area. Consistent moisture is crucial during flowering and pod development, but you really want to avoid overhead watering if possible. Wet foliage increases the risk of bacterial diseases that can devastate a bean crop. I use soaker hoses or drip irrigation to keep the soil moist while keeping the leaves dry. Here's where green beans really shine. Succession planting. Plant a new crop every 2 to 3 weeks from late spring through midsummer for continuous harvests. I typically do 4 plantings per season, which keeps us in fresh beans from July through the first frost. Harvest beans when they're young and tender, typically when the pods are about 4 to 6 inches long and you can't yet see the individual beans bulging inside. Pick them regularly, daily during peak season, to keep the plants productive. Once plants start producing mature seeds, they'll stop flowering and setting new pods. Don't overlook the soil improvement benefits. After harvest, just chop the plants at ground level and leave the roots in the soil. The nitrogen-fixing nodules on the roots will decompose and enrich the soil for next year's crops. These 3 vegetables, radishes, lettuce, and green beans, have been my constant companions through years of gardening adventures. They've taught me patience with lettuce succession planting, shown me the joy of quick results with radishes, and demonstrated the satisfaction of abundant harvests with green beans. The beauty of these crops lies not just in their reliability, but in how they build your confidence and skills as a gardener. Each successful harvest teaches you something new about timing, soil conditions, and plant behavior that you can apply to more challenging crops down the road. Remember, Gardening is a journey, not a destination. Start with these 3 champions, master their growth patterns, and use that knowledge as a foundation for expanding your vegetable garden adventures. If this guide has inspired you to get growing, I'd love to hear about your successes in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Soilsage Chronicles for more practical gardening wisdom, and share this article with fellow gardeners who could use some reliable wins in their gardens. Together we're cultivating not just vegetables but a community of passionate growers. Happy gardening!